Cheers to you. Of course.
I'm not gonna grunt this time.
Hold it in.
I'm not doing it.
Hold it.
I'm not old like
Hold
you.
it. I'll do it for both of us.
You know what I am doing though is I'm wearing a comfy.
Yeah, you were
Today's
cozy.
video is Brett. No, I'm just kidding. I wish.
That'll come.
I could use that right now.
That will come.
Hey, you should scoot over a little bit. Just film the frame, and I don't want you next to me. Yeah.
Cold.
I just don't. It's cold over there.
Yeah.
Oh.
Just this side.
This is one of the earliest we've gotten up. No, okay, that's not true. One of the earliest we've gotten rolling.
It's true. It is dark still.
I haven't had a sip of my coffee yet.
Oh. There it is. Did you use the beans I got?
Not yet, no.
Oh.
I must use them according to their timeline.
Feel that.
You can't let a bean go bad.
I mean, you could.
Can't let a bean go bad. That's a song, by the way. I'm pretty sure I've seen it.
Wow.
You make your bed in the morning?
Once in a while. I haven't been the best at it lately. Just kind of get up. I'll when I make it, normally I have it because you see my room bed's pushed up against my wall, and so I tuck everything in on one side. So when I do that, the one time that I make it, normally when I wake up in the morning, I just have to flop it over, and it's back to being made. I don't have to flip it out and make it really nice.
It's a nice little foldy crease.
Exactly. Just fold it over. We're ready to go throughout the day. So
I've got one of those dad beds, bed in the middle, bed in the center.
Yep.
Like I'm married.
Mm-hmm.
I've been considering putting it in the corner. There's something cozy about a corner bed.
There is.
But something a little childish about it, but I'm willing to partake in the childness of it.
See, I'm trying to down my age a little bit.
I've noticed.
So,
We've noticed.
Yeah, so back to the Power Ranger pajamas and
I walk in one day, you have one of those car beds. It's this little car with a little twin in the middle.
Just open the door, dude. You'll see it.
Oh my god.
Just open the door.
No, I love that concept because I remember a long time ago. I think it was Alex Hormozy that said if you can't make your bed, you can't be a millionaire. He was just making fun of the people that say you gotta get up in the morning and make your bed. It's the first set of discipline for the day. And Alex Hormozy's all these people saying if you don't fucking make your bed, you're not gonna be rich. He's I've made my bed in 10 years.
Yeah, no, I was I haven't made my bed in 15 years. Just paused.
So funny, dude. So I figured I'd ask. I'm one of those weird midday bed makers where my OCD kicks in. I don't give a fuck when I wake up. I could care less. Mm-hmm. And then I walk by it. But I'm gonna wake up. I'm I just got out of it. I'm not going back to it to make it.
Yeah.
I get out, live my life, whatever. I end up in my room at 2 p.m. I don't know, to do activities.
Yeah.
That sounds sus, but I usually just see my bed. I'm I could make it. Or if I'm filming, I'll make it.
True.
To make people think that I'm got it all together. You know what I mean?
I saw a TikTok of one of those doctor TikTokers one time, and he was talking about how if you get up and you make your bed, there's a bunch of microbes that you've carried through. Even if you take a shower right before you go to bed, you've carried microbes around, and when you get into your bed at night, those kind of roll around with you and stuff like that. And then if you make your bed, you're basically just trapping them in there, so you should never make your bed. And I was I
like that guy.
That was an interesting.
All right,
concept.
I won't ever make my bed.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, we got approval. Yeah, I'm never doing that again.
People who make their bed are stupid.
They're carrying bugs.
Bugs. Bed bugs are scary.
Bed bugs are ridiculous.
But we're not gonna talk about bed bugs on this stupid podcast of ours. That was a joke.
I was gonna say
this is actually really great.
I enjoy it.
This is episode 8.
Yes.
Yesterday was a 2-parter that we have to continue.
We do.
With Mrs. Ambry.
I
want to use you today, Scotty. Scotty is known as the I got this. The men take care of themselves guy. The hey men, take care of yourself guy. That's it, dude.
All the ads.
That's
I'm so sorry if you've gotten hit with one of my ads.
And I really did want to talk about not only men's grooming, because I feel like that's really specific.
Yeah.
I don't even know how much I got to talk about that because I don't groom shit.
Yep.
I shave things. That's it. I shave things.
Hey, we did.
Shave my face.
We shaved your kiwis.
I shave my ass cheeks.
Shaved your kiwis.
Shave my kiwis. Sometimes physical, actual kiwis for
we did
videos.
That. Yep.
But also just more so men taking care of themselves. Mm-hmm. And I don't think this episode's not going to tailor towards women because I think for most women out there, you're either going to have friends that might just not fucking take care of themselves, or you're going to have yourself a husband. And you got to make sure that he's aligned. But what are the benefits, do you think, to men taking care of themselves versus the men that just have no interest? It's I don't need to dress nice. I don't need to look nice. And I don't think it's a flawed thought process. I think it's just to each their own. But
yeah,
you should touch on this, and then I'll jump in and I don't know what that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I think it kind of goes back to our conversation yesterday. It goes back to confidence, and I think that how you dress, the dress to impress thing is a real concept, you know, and I think that it's not even like dress to impress others, it's dressing to impress yourself, because you can wear whatever you want to as long as you feel good and look good in your own like right.
Correct.
Then, you know, I think that that's what brings confidence, that's what brings the best self. And I think that, you know, a lot of us, you can see a lot of people doing that these days, where it might be something that you look at and you're like, that's just absolutely bizarre, but women flock to him. Why is that? You know, like, so a great example is like MGK. You know,
I'd say Pete Davidson.
Pete Davidson is exactly. Well, they're friends, and you know, like, yeah, it's like, you know, you look at two guys like that, and as a guy who's in my character, where it's like I have a very clean, preppy. I have all sorts of styles, but I'd say
I do as well.
You do as well. I'd say I kind of go toward not preppy, but like stylish, and it's.
I mean, speak for yourself.
Exactly.
Someone disagree.
Yeah, exactly, and I look at that and I'm like, that's just an interesting look, like nothing about it. But then I look at like the way that women react to that, and I'm like, people actually like that because it's careless. But the reason that it's careless is because they're so confident in the way that they rock it.
They're confident in the lack of care.
Exactly.
The lack of care. That
exactly. And so you've got to really kind of look at it and see it like that. So the importance of it is showing up as your best self in that. Now, I think that if we're going to get into the grooming and the, you know, the looking good in like a general sense of the word, where it's like, you know, just look clean, I think that's even more important, because that's just your starter kit. That's just, you know, if you're going out, how do you want the world to perceive you? And you don't want to necessarily go like, I need to do this for other people, but it's proven that if you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you perform good. If you perform good, you get rewarded.
I also think it goes too far sometimes. Like, I see people sometimes outside in the world outside, you know, out and about, and it's just that classic, I'm gonna really stereotype here, but it's true, like a 40-year-old dude, he's got stains on his shirt, hasn't shaved in 2 weeks, hasn't had a haircut, he's got hair growing all over, like, this is not presentable. And it's one of those things where it's like, there's no reason to get to that point. Like, it's not that hard to keep yourself groomed to some small extent.
No.
And so I think that's where it's like, there are people like my brother, who's just a dad. He's just a dad, you know? Well, he doesn't have a kid, but he's just a dad, you know? And he just has no, like, real interest for fashion. He obviously cares a little bit. Like, my brother's, like, I can see it. He shows up a little late to the party sometimes, but he doesn't give a fuck about clothing. But he cares about grooming. Like, it's like he still takes care of himself very well.
Yeah.
And I think that the spectrum is super wide, and I don't think anyone on the spectrum's in the wrong. I think it comes down to when people just don't take care of themselves.
Yes.
And you can tell, and it's obvious. And like you said, they show up, and it's not a look.
No, it's the lack of. It is the lack of confidence for sure, and I think it's the don't know where to start, and it's the comfortability of it, where they've been so comfortable in that they don't want to get out of that. They don't want to change, and it's the same thing in any form of fashion. Like, if you want to change your style, there's always that discomfort of going like, could I really do that? Like, you had this
what
conversation.
What are people going to think?
Exactly. We had this conversation yesterday where you're very, very comfortable in changing things.
Yeah.
But for a long time, you were the skinny jeans guy, like the spray-on skinny jeans guy.
Yeah.
And then...
What are spray-on?
Super tight.
Like, it looks like someone sprayed them on.
Exactly. And like... You went from that into baggy pants, and you're like, there's no way that I'm going to get into these. And the more that you've worn baggy pants, you're just kind of like falling into
It's
them.
not even that. It's I just knew I hadn't bought, I don't buy clothes much, but I hadn't bought, that's a word, trust me, pants like that in so long that I even knew, though, before I got into them, that I'd subconsciously seen fashion go towards that direction, that you subliminally start hating what you used to wear. Like, I already felt comfortable in them when I first wore them, more so than I do in skinny jeans now. Like, I don't enjoy wearing skinny jeans much. And I've seen fashion go that trend. It's just been summer, so we just haven't worn jeans in so long. So now it's been like we've skipped a couple months. I told him the other day, I was like, so weird that I used to think this is, like, I used to be so uncomfortable with, like, the bottom of my jeans stacking or being baggy. And now, without anything actually changing, no, like, metamorphosis, what the fuck am I saying? I think it looks great. Yeah. It's just weird how that happens. Because subconsciously, you're paying attention without paying attention.
The trends, you know? And like, when a trend hits, anybody can really make it look good. You know, that's the thing, if it's tailored to them. Now, One question that I get a lot in my community, in my groups and stuff like that is
The old
all of
community?
them. Yeah, like the retirement center
The
right
elderly
there.
community?
Yep, retirement center. It's right there.
Hmm.
Is why does everything that you wear look so put on you?
Yeah.
Like it looks like it's built for you, and that's because it is built for me. People don't realize, like, when you see somebody who's really dressed well and really has like a good style and everything seems like it just fits them, they didn't just buy it off the rack and put it on.
Yeah.
Never. You have to take it and you have to get it tailored, and that's what a lot of guys miss, and that's what a lot of people miss in general, is that you can alter your entire style just by taking it to a tailor and spending an extra $80. So it's like, grab a couple pairs of pants that you like that fit you decently well, take them to the tailor, and then say, hey, I want to do this. They're going to pin them up, and they're going to build the pants or the shirt or whatever it is
Or the bear.
to your body.
Mm.
And so, like, there's always a way of making yourself look better. It's just understanding the little tips and tricks in fashion.
Yeah. I think trends are a weird thing. I think it's also, some people, again, aren't confident enough to even speak about it, right? Like, most people are like, I'll give a fuck what's the trend, the fashion trend. But if you think about trends, I think I don't know, and I can't confidently say this. I think this is something I'd love to explore. Is like, why do we all as a community come together and agree upon it? Do you think it's because we subconsciously see the people who lead the trend doing it, and then that's the first step of like, oh, that looks either weird or okay, and then more people hop on the trend, the people that are almost as experimental as the first group, and they hop on, you're like, okay, it doesn't look that bad. And then do you think as it progresses in the subconscious mind from seeing these people on social media and in the real world, that you almost become interested in it?
I think it's what you said. You kind of, the more you see it, like, you just kind of get it burnt into you. And so we all have like the what is it? The RAS in your brain.
Armadillo.
Yeah, no, RAS. What we talked about, the reticular activating system in your brain. And the more that you see things, the more that, like, they just kind of, or the more that you think about something, the more you see it, the more you see it, the more you think about it. And so it's just funny because it's the same thing in trends. Like, the more you see something, the more you just kind of get comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And you get comfortable seeing it, and then you're like, and then it just becomes normal for you to see it and go, oh, that's different.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing when something changes, where you kind of like, you'll start to see something and you'll be like, oh, that's interesting. Then you'll start to think about it, so you'll start to see the trend more.
Yeah.
And then the trend just builds like that because you're seeing it more and more and more.
Yeah.
And then when somebody, like one of these influencers or somebody in the spotlight, like, takes it over and becomes the trend setter, and then the masses do it, then it's like, okay, trend's here, that it's got about a 2 to 3 week life, and it's gonna be gone.
Yeah, sometimes a year.
Sometimes a year, but realistically, trends don't last that long in fashion.
I think it's funny too because, like, when you see everybody out and about wearing it,
Out and about.
Out and about. I was like, what did you say?
Out and about.
You see everyone out wearing it. That subconscious probably plays off. Like, when you hop on a trend is probably when you're done. Or let me even say this. The first time you try it, you probably go, oh, this actually looks cool. So it's like, there has to be a moment where you decide, okay, I'm going to hop on this.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to try this. And that's when you probably look in the mirror and you're like, this looks good. And it looks good probably because you've been primed to see other people do it.
Yep.
And also, I think a lot of fashion is based in insecurity, where people either A, don't want to copy other people. Everyone seems like they have this little bit of personality that wants to be a hipster. Like, everyone wants to do something different. And I am the king. I mean, I am bred in that. But like, I think that's my brand. I enjoy I don't like doing things the same, but I think everyone's got a little piece of, I did it first, or, oh, I was doing that way before you were, like, and everyone kind of has this subconscious insecurity where, like, everyone's wearing that. I don't want to be late. Like, I don't want to copy them.
Yeah.
And then they get to a point where it's just so accepted that it's, like, and undeniable that you can't really ignore it, and you're like, fuck.
Yep.
Now I'm late, but I'm going to wear it anyway. I'd say me with baggier pants, but again, we haven't worn pants in so long, but, like,
we wear pants every day.
for a while, I mean, I still hate the baggy pants. But, like, again, it's all preference. But I think at one point I probably looked at, like, why is that guy wearing baggy pants? Like, that's fucking weird. I will say, though, I never had the feeling where I was like, I'll never wear that. Because now I just don't do that. Cause I don't want to say something because there's a lot of shit I didn't think I would do that I do. Like live with a 28-year-old.
Yeah, I don't think I ever thought about living with children again.
That's fair. That's fair. I deserve that one.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to take this a step further.
Go.
This is the service level shit. Men taking care of themselves in the service is, I'd say, the minority. The minority of importance in what I'm trying to get across.
Okay.
Now let's jump into men taking care of themselves internally, which I think is a huge issue in our society.
Yep.
Men and mental health, men and trying to act like they're the fucking toughest. And I do think we have a problem in our society. I'll say it. I'm not getting political. I'm just saying with weak men.
100%.
And I think a part of that is the misconceptions of what a man is supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned in my life, this is how I consider myself, that a man needs to be physically strong, mentally strong, but still able to be vulnerable.
Exactly.
And so I think we'll dip back into that later, but I do think that there's such a big stigma on, like, I think because that's, like, the traditional man that, like, for years, I've seen this as a little kid, I've seen it from my father to everyone else, like, men don't want to cry, men don't want to have feelings, men suppress feelings, like, and I think in that is your lack of taking care of yourself, lack of self-care. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you as a man are not taking care of yourself if you don't have your mindset right, and if you are not being vulnerable or not being emotional,
Mm-hmm.
then you're just not a complete man.
Yeah.
And in the sense you're not taking care of yourself.
Yeah, and I'd agree with that. And it's almost sad that, it's come to the point now where we had, wow.
I just spit
No,
a
I'm
little.
trying to figure out what your dog's doing over there.
Oh, he's just playing. Please don't lick that. That's gross. Nag, don't do that.
Hey, you set yourself up for that one.
I
You can't-
didn't think that
You can't
through.
get mad on him.
I don't spit around him normally.
Yeah, you can't get mad at that one. You spit. But it's one of those things that you kind of have to look at and understand that men used to be, like, quote unquote men. So it's like you look at like our dad's generations.
He's eating my loogie.
You did that.
That's the grossest thing I've ever seen in my life.
You literally set it up for that.
That is the worst thing, and now I have to accept it.
And then you're gonna let him kiss you later.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
That I will.
Yeah.
It's called recycling.
That is disgusting. That is disgusting.
Listen.
Wow.
Top 20 grossest things I've done, maybe.
That was
Maybe.
just
Caught on camera.
Yeah, you well,
Surprise reaction.
you know what? I just thought about this. We live here, and you basically just spit on our floor.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
A floor needs a roof.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah,
no,
it does.
You spit on our floor.
There's a sky.
No, you spit on
That's
our
the
floor.
ground.
We live up here, and you spit on our floor.
Oh, yeah, where?
Up here.
Show me where.
There's our door.
Where did I spit?
You know what you just did? You spit on top of Kiki.
Where's my spit?
You spit on Kiki.
Show me my spit.
You spit. I know, your dog licked it up.
It's gone.
Yeah, that's fucking disgusting.
Okay, I'm sorry. I had a weak moment. Okay?
Yeah, back to men being
Either
weak.
it was me
Yeah,
swallowing it or him swallowing
back
it.
to men being weak.
I feel pretty weak right now.
I know. That was disgusting. Anyway, going back to our parents or our dad's generations, when men were quote unquote men.
Your generation.
Shut the fuck up. Anyway, you think about it and you're like, okay, men being men, like what did that look like? It was a burly guy who went to work, got his work done, came home, ate dinner, went to bed, just a manly man, And
Wife handed him his coffee while I read the newspaper.
exactly, in our stigma of what a man looks like.
Yeah.
And when you look at that, you realize how much disconnection there is to the real world. And what you're kind of portraying as a man is somebody who is like too stoic, too just like.
You mean the olden
Yes,
idea? You're
yes.
saying that perception.
The olden idea and the old perception. But in our minds, when you think of a man, I feel like everybody's mind still goes to that. What's a manly man? What's a burly man? And I think it's different now with the generation.
I'd say it depends on who you are, because I think now, like, I don't think about that.
Exactly.
But yes, maybe the average.
Exactly. And then,
Or if
but you.
I'm just, no, I'm not
No,
gonna
go
say
for it. No, you're just all over it this morning. Go for it.
Say,
Go for it.
there's some thoughts, some people in some areas where they think of a man, and the picture of a man, trust me, is a lot different than.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah,
It's a little weaker than what we were.
Yeah, it's pretty weak. Anyway,
We're gonna get in trouble today.
we are all over the place.
I love it.
But yeah, and then you look at like what we have as a man now, and I feel like too many men are just like backing down from situations. They're backing down from the responsibilities in life. They're backing down from, the hardships. They're backing down from the courage. They're backing down from building themselves up as confident, building themselves up as, a go-getter, but also being able to talk about what's going on inside of them. And I feel like that is why so many men are so stressed out. That's why so many men don't progress in life. That's why so many men are, so upset, and that's why there's so much drinking and drug use and, pornography and all of these like addictions that come into these men's lives, just because it's like they don't know where to go, so they're looking for satisfaction outside of them because they can't find satisfaction within.
I also think it's this tough balance right now. It's this weird thing. As we're talking about this, I'm kind of realizing that this is an odd predicament because we're in a time where I personally feel, opinion, that we need more manly men. Just more. Not everybody, just more of them. And more people. The problem is in doing so, I think this is going to come across in the way, almost, I think most people are going to think opposite to what I'm thinking is, that can be physical, that can be whatever, that can be traditional, but I also think I'm trying to go back, and this is a double-edged sword, that a lot of these men who either aren't this or want to be this are missing out on the other side of it, where they are not in touch with their emotions, and they are suppressing things, and they are lying to themselves, and they are getting into drugs and addiction to suppress those thoughts that they feel like they can't talk about. And so it's this weird double-edged sword. It's almost like we need manlier men, but in doing so, it's not just, I think our idea of what's manly is off a little bit.
100%. And
I know a lot of men who just, they think it's so manly to not have feelings, to not talk about things, and to cry, and to be vulnerable. And that's not, that is a part of being a man to me. That is some stuff. So it's like, it is, does that take us in the other direction? I don't think so.
No.
I think that's just a more full man that if he takes care of himself, he can take care and provide for a family more so.
Exactly. And I think that, like, if you can't have your emotions be there for yourself, you can't expect anybody else to have emotions outward toward you. And so, you know, if you're bundling up everything and you're holding things inside, and let's say you're a father and you're just doing that every single day, your kid's gonna pick up your kind of tendencies. You know, that's just how it is. And then you're basically raising somebody who can't talk to you, who can't, you know, come to you in a time of trouble, in a time of needing help, needs to talk about something, needs to, you know,
because he's like, my dad never has these problems.
Exactly. My dad doesn't talk.
He doesn't go through these sensitive issues.
Exactly. So I shouldn't either.
Exactly.
And, you know, and then that builds another weak man, because ultimately he's holding things in his entire life, and then he gets in with the wrong crowd. And not to say everybody does this, you know, because there's obviously outliers, but you become who you're around.
Yeah.
And I think that's a big key to all of this, is you have to find other men as a man who are okay with talking about their feelings, who are okay with, you know, expressing what's on their mind, okay with, you know, waking up and telling you, hey, something's up, I need to talk about this. Or like, because we all have friends who call us, like, and that's the cool part about our group, is our group of friends, it's like, if there's something going on in one of our guys' lives, they call us and we talk about it.
Like, Josh looks like he'd kill everybody.
Yes.
And he would, if he needed to, give us a call.
100%.
100%.
100%.
He's not embarrassed.
No, and you shouldn't. And like that, I think that's a big one that you just nailed. You should never be embarrassed to talk about what's going on. Like, if there's something that's going on in your life and you're not okay, it's okay to not be okay.
Yeah.
You know, like, I think one thing that we have to be better at is, you and I we're both very confident guys, and we both, you know, portray it on, you know, that there's really nothing wrong. And I think that you do a better job of being very transparent, saying like, hey, like, something's going on. I think you do it in a very comedic way,
Yeah.
which is like, it comes across as like, it's like, okay, like, he gets it, but is this real?
Yeah.
And it's like, but that's just your way of dealing with things.
Yeah,
I know you. You're like, it's comedy.
Comedy's definitely an outlet.
Exactly. And so we need to be better at, like, showing, like, and I'll talk right to the camera, like, we're not always happy. We're not always perfect. We're not, you know, like, always, like, got this jolly good and happy. Like, it's like, I do the gratitude walks and I preach gratitude. I preach being happy and positive and looking at the bright sides of things, but I still go through shit. Like, and I still cry, and I still, like, have to let things out and let, you know, because once in a while, I call it emotionally throwing up. You just have to let everything out, you know? Like, it's just, because you can't let that stuff build up on you, because then that clouds your judgment, it clouds your thinking, you start making irrational decisions on things, and that's what gets you into trouble.
And for everyone, that's different.
Yeah.
That throwing up is different.
Yeah.
Right? Like, for some, it's bawling your eyes out. For others, it's just having one vulnerable conversation with a friend, or your mom, maybe, your significant other. For 10, 15 minutes, just get out the things that are bothering you.
Yeah.
That way they're not holding you up.
And then for our women out there who are watching us, like, if you're with a man and you feel like he's not talking and he's not,
Or your
you know,
friends.
Or your friends, or your guy friends, yeah. Be the woman that, you know, tells him that it's okay. You know, like, honestly, like, I think that's a really cool trait in a girl, where she wants to listen to you and she wants to, you know, sit down and be there for you, and just understand that, like, a guy's problems are a lot different than your problems, and guys' problems, that's why guys tend to not talk to women a lot, is because it's a lot of things that you wouldn't really understand. and a lot of it is it's aggression based more than like sadness and stuff like that. I would say.
I wouldn't say that.
Really?
I don't have any aggression towards anything.
No.
Maybe I'm just not a.
I don't know if it's it might be the wrong word, but it's like it's a different kind
More of a fiery.
Yeah, it's a different kind. We have different kinds of problems, obviously, and but as a woman, if you want your man to talk, you have to give him that outlet.
You have to.
You have to give him that outlet, and you have to tell him like, hey, like, and I don't even know how you'd have that conversation. It would just be like, listen, like if there's something going on, just know that you can talk to me.
Yeah, I'd say before it even needs to be said, just
Yeah.
make sure they know that if in some world it happened, that it is a safe space. I don't like the word safe space, but it is like vulnerability is attractive. Make your man know that vulnerability is attractive.
Yeah, and double down on that. Like really tell him that. Like you want to know what he's going through, and you want to help him work through it because at the end of the day, if you're with somebody, you're a partnership, and partners work together on things. So you have to be that.
I agree. This got really deep, but I think it's important. It's just important to have this conversation, and I just think I think it's an interesting conversation, not for the reason most people do. Like I get it's a time right now where men need to figure out how to be vulnerable, but that is a huge problem. And at the okay, go save some lives.
Go get them, boys.
I'm not even gonna say it with some bad attitude because I want you to.
Go get them.
That's somebody's brother works there. You know what I mean?
Go get them, boys.
Cheers. Thank you for your service. That wasn't sarcastic. By the way, my brother's a fireman, so those are my boys. I think it's just this weird time in life where we need manlier men, and we need men to be more vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in that we need men to realize that being vulnerable makes you more manly.
Exactly.
And like we talked about in another episode, one of the reasons that I feel I am so bulletproof and have thick skin and nobody can affect me is because I put it all I have nothing to hide. And again, I'm not saying everyone needs to come clean about everything. That wasn't my point in that conversation. My point though is I'm okay to being vulnerable, and with that builds security, and with security comes thick skin, comes an armor, a suit of armor.
And understanding your flaws.
Yeah.
Understanding where you come short, understanding like where you
Well, I come
I
short.
know you do. I knew that was coming because you're 23. And
Well, no, I meant like 5.
No,
I
you
didn't mean
don't.
like
No,
that.
No.
Okay, that's
No, that's
okay.
that's
I meant both of them.
no.
It was parallel.
No, it wasn't. It was the first one.
No.
But yeah, I don't even know what we were saying at this point.
Talking about coming short.
Yeah, I'm not going back.
I actually voiced this the other day while I was listening to a podcast. And it was somebody talking about high caliber women. Okay. And this is somebody that I respect and I enjoy listening to. I really had to disagree with this one, but it wasn't that I disagreed with him because it was an opinion. I just disagreed. My opinion was a little different. And he was talking about how he's very wealthy, and he's like, this last year I've had access to a newer caliber of woman. And so my first thought was like, what is that? What does a higher caliber of woman entail? Because to each their own, it's going to be different. You know what I mean? And what he meant was like
Bullet size.
it went from a 9mm to a I don't know
like a 50
to a 50
cal.
cal. Yeah. No, what he meant was women with higher status. Or as Top G would say, status. I'm kidding, sorry. That was a joke. With more followers, more unattainable. Women that have a higher demand. More men want, whether that's on Instagram or whether that's just walking by in person, one of those women that everyone's going to stare at, right? Now, how I took this was quite so the opposite. I think the women he was talking about, and I want your opinion on this. I'm just trying to preface this. The women he was talking about, I also think what he almost failed to mention, but what he hinted at was these are the women that hang around higher caliber men. So not only, because I call them the undiscovered 10s. There are some beautiful women out there that if people were aware of would be in very high demand. But those women live regular lives and they have no interest for money and power. And again, I don't disagree with the concept that a woman should, if she can choose between a broke man and a rich man, not as a whole choice, but you should at least put that in some factor that in, right? I don't think it's a bad innate survival complex to go after a man that can take care of you. But with that being said, I kind of thought, I was like, to me personally, I think the higher caliber you get up of women, up into this, that are hanging out with the more elite men, to me, like, the higher you get up there, the less interested I am.
I think you have to describe caliber.
Well, we did. His version of caliber, like I said, was status, attractiveness, like women that are so beautiful. But I think this comes along with women that have hung out with high caliber men. So a lot of these women, I guess what I was saying was, I also understood that while he was saying that, his point was, these are women that hang out with high status men. Mm-hmm. So then, let's forget the first part, because typically women that hang out with high status men are going to be beautiful women, and a lot of them might have some sort of social status. So let's just consider these high caliber, meaning women, high caliber women hang out with high caliber men.
Okay.
If I were to meet a woman like that, and there's no shade to these women, this is my opinion when I heard it, I think in the world of like entrepreneurship and hustle and trying to become wealthy and build an empire, whatever it is, people have this tendency of like, the richer I get, the more of a high caliber woman I can attract. And my thought when I saw that was like, I don't know, there's something to me attractive about a woman that cares much less about that stuff.
Yeah.
Finding the one attractive, very attractive woman, or even women that I find to be very attractive, right? Like, that doesn't get, the less they care about that shit, the more I find it attractive, and then to me, the higher caliber that woman is. And so I thought it was funny that this was someone I was watching that I desperately agreed with, but I completely disagreed with his idea of what a high caliber woman was.
And I think it really comes down to your beliefs and your thoughts. I think a different caliber is a different caliber for every guy.
Yeah.
You know? And so what you might think is a caliber, I might think is completely the opposite. You know, but the thing is, we have very similar opinions on this. I don't believe that a high caliber woman has to be this drop dead gorgeous, you know, successful in any like means, whatever. But like, it's different strokes for different folks, realistically. Like, a high caliber woman to me is somebody who is extremely caring, extremely hardworking, has goals, wants to build something for herself. Obviously, looks they do play into effect, but I don't need some dime piece 10 that looks like she just stepped out of a catalog, you know, like,
or a plastic surgery office.
Exactly. And it's like, because I believe that once you find the woman that's supposed to be with you,
yeah,
or that you're supposed to be with, like, you might think she's gonna be a 10 to you.
Correct.
You know, like, it doesn't matter like what anybody else thinks. Like, she is, like, that's why like personal preference plays such a key here, because we've all seen the like nerdy ass dude who gets like a really good looking girlfriend, and at first you're like, that's a little sus.
And then you meet him?
Yeah, you're like, that's a little sus, and he's the greatest guy in the world,
yeah,
and then you realize that she actually loves him.
And he's a fat...
You have to do this every fucking time.
No, a fat...
Yeah,
control of desperation.
Yeah. No, I thought you meant cock. Anyway,
sorry, dude.
No, it's all right. But yeah, we have to put that.
No, okay, listen. This is good. Because, again, this was one of those things that's really hard to articulate and is opinion-based, so it makes it even more difficult.
Exactly.
But I think you helped me understand this. I find it more admirable. And this is less opinion-based. I want to make this less opinion-based so that it can be something that we can all agree upon, maybe. Your idea of the perfect woman isn't the mass idea of a perfect woman. It's something that's the perfect woman to you. You are chasing after someone that just happens to be perfect to you. Someone that looks beautiful to you. Mm-hmm. That's personality fits you. And so when I look at these people, and when he says that, my take on it was almost like they're after the woman that everybody wants. So he's after these traits in a woman because they apply to the masses, not just him.
So he's looking more at like celebrity.
He just wants the woman because everyone else wants her. He's not looking for his woman. Mm-hmm. And to me, I feel that you will find such a lack of fulfillment in that. And that was my issue, was I will listen to this podcast. When you listen to a podcast of somebody successful, somebody that speaks great things that you look up to, it's like, you usually agree with them on things. And so when he said this, I was like, that's a shame, because he had this great mindset on everything else. And again, to each their own. I'm not just saying it was a shame to me. I feel like once you're in that high status, if you want to achieve utmost happiness, you should stop searching for the girl that has the high status, these higher caliber women to the masses, and try to find the highest caliber woman to you.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
It's almost like someone who buys a Ferrari but doesn't like cars.
Yeah.
They're buying the Ferrari because everyone else thinks the Ferrari is cool,
Mm-hmm.
not because they think the Ferrari is cool, versus somebody that has always wanted a 993 for my car boys out there, Turbo S Porsche.
Mm-hmm.
That car that like maybe they had at their poster in their room. Not everyone might think it's cool. Some of their friends might be like, why are you into this? Why'd you just spend $250,000 on this old car? Because I think that old car's cool. Because that old car is tailored to me, and it fits what I want, not getting the Ferrari that fits what everybody else wants.
Yep.
And so when I heard him say high caliber women, I almost just felt like he's chasing after this thing because it's a socially accepted thing, rather than the happiness you'd find from something that is more tailored to you.
And I also think, just playing devil's advocate here, if you're going to make the argument of the guy who has the poster on his wall of the whatever it would be, what kind of, because I'm not a car guy, whatever,
some old car.
Yeah, whatever it might be. You also have to look at it as what happened to the guy who also thinks that a girl is absolutely incredibly gorgeous. Like our thing with that Ana girl, the Ana de Armas or whatever, the actress.
Ana de Armas.
Ana de Armas. We're both incredibly attracted to her. Incredibly. We don't know her at all.
I mean, who wouldn't be?
Exactly. She's
Most
drop dead.
women.
Girls drop dead. Even most women probably think she's attractive. But like, it's kind of the same thing where it's like we're both very physically attracted to her.
Correct.
We don't know anything about her.
Correct.
But does that make it weird that we would chase that highest status?
But I wouldn't.
Like
I don't know. I wouldn't chase Ana de Armas.
You wouldn't at all.
No,
if you had the chance.
Again, there's for many reasons. Like I have my own reasons why Ana de Armas is just someone I would go trying to There's so many factors that go into play. Where I'm saying is there's people out there that would just chase her for the status.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't because she's in Hollywood. I don't want to touch women in Hollywood because Hollywood scares me and I want to stay away from Hollywood.
Even if she's a great girl and she's in the Hollywood scene.
I would have to chase her to find that out, and I wouldn't chase her. If I ran into Ana de Armas in the middle of the street and didn't know who she was, maybe did. That's complicated. I see where you're going, but like, again, that's not a girl tailored to me, and there's a really good chance that she wouldn't be the one for me just because I think she's attractive. I don't like Ana de Armas because everyone likes her. I just think she's beautiful. That's it. Mm-hmm. I think what I'm trying to get here is I had felt when he had said that, and I don't want to just pinpoint him, when people in that group of men, that group of elite status, chase after these women that typically hang out with men of elite status, to me, that seems like that lowers the status in my head, personally.
So I'm trying to wrap all of it together. Are you talking about like women that we all kind of see bounce from man to man to man that are at these higher status?
Just like your classic, to me, okay, it's hard to explain. If I met a girl, here we go. I met a girl out in the streets in New York, random chick, just as beautiful as this other girl I'm going to give an example for, and she ends up being really cool, whatever, we hit it off. Mm-hmm. Great. It's awesome. Maybe she was tailored toward, maybe I felt like this was a special girl. If I met a girl at a Formula One event who was at the VIP section with some millionaire, I automatically in my head consider that a lower status woman. Just ironically, like I'm not saying she is, I'm just saying that's my belief. I thought it was funny that I disagreed that the higher up the totem pole of that a woman spends time, like the higher status men that women hang out with, to me this becomes a lower status woman.
To me,
it's just like, I'm not trying to make this a generalized thing. Like I really am not. I had this thought the other day while I was watching it, that I thought it was funny that he considered that because of this new money he'd acquired, and this new social presence he'd acquired, he has access to higher caliber women. I thought it was ironic that I felt that those women in this new caliber, the higher up, he got higher up the caliber. I felt that the higher you go, it just flips for me.
So what happens if you're with a woman who comes up with you and you both become higher caliber together?
Totally cool.
But that's still a higher caliber woman. So you just said if you were at a Formula One race and you saw a guy with a woman who was a high.
But I don't know
woman,
her. It's not personal.
Exactly, and so you can't really say oh, she's high caliber or not, because you don't know the situation behind it.
Well, again, high caliber is just opinion. Again, I'm not trying to make a factual statement.
Yeah.
By any means.
No, it's an interesting thought for
sure. It was just I guess I'm really just trying to bring up the thought. Just see.
No, yeah, no. It's an interesting thought.
What's your take? Like if you saw if you same beautiful lady, great personality, you met one in the middle of nowhere and she just lives a regular life. The other one spends her days hanging out with millionaires.
See, like, I don't judge by that. That's just like I don't.
I judge a little by that.
I just don't. Because I have to meet the person. I never look at stuff at face value. You know, like
Gotcha.
if I shake your hand and you're like your head's up your ass, then I'm like, okay, cool. You're obviously there's something off.
Yeah.
But I mean, I've met some drop dead gorgeous women who most people would think were just ditzy as hell, and when you get to know them, they're entrepreneurial as hell.
Yeah.
They're not dating anybody. They're just in their own hustle. They're in their own grind. That's a very high caliber to me, where they're not doing it for a man. They're not attached to a man. They're not, even remotely thinking like they're almost the breadwinner in the situation.
Super attractive, I agree.
That is a high caliber.
And again, like I said, I can't generalize. There's got to be women. That woman at the F1 event might be friends with all the Formula One dudes, or the people attending the event, the wealthy people, because she's also wealthy herself and hustles. Again,
Exactly.
Super attractive.
Yeah, you just never know.
Again, this thought's really hard to articulate, and I really don't want to come off sounding the wrong way.
No, it's a thought.
It was just very unusual when I heard that. I was like, I ironically find that to be a lower caliber woman, the woman that spends time with all the millionaires. And in specific, maybe a woman that doesn't have that entrepreneurial sense, doesn't run a business, doesn't do anything. She just wants to spend time with millionaires.
I will sit with you in the fact that, we do know those women that you kind of see jumping from group to group to group of high
In
status
Scottsdale, Arizona.
Oh, yeah, but in general, in high status men, where you're kind of like, she was just with this guy, she was just with this guy, and it's a trend where she's just bouncing around to very successful men.
Yep.
And she's attractive, and every time you see her, like, she doesn't do anything, because you've had conversations with her, she doesn't work, she doesn't do anything. And you're just like, okay, well, now you've got a Mercedes, now you've got a bigger house, now you've got this, you've got that, and you never know what's going on, so you can't really judge the situation. Maybe she's doing something on the back end, but it's, like, something's going on there where, okay, this girl she's not at high status, she's hanging out with high status, and she's almost being used as I don't want to say a trophy, but she's being used as a
status symbol.
It's
exactly. All status here. Really.
Exactly. So it's like, oh, you're dating her. Like, wow, that must be like pretty crazy. And then she's on to the next guy.
Yeah. And it comes down to, like, people always ask me, like, would you date a celebrity? It's like, at this point in my life, I don't want to.
Yeah.
I'm not saying there's not a celebrity out there that I'd get along with very well. It's just like, again, it's all opinion. I want to make that clear. I don't find the typical higher status women that these entrepreneurs consider higher status, that I learned from these things, like, I don't consider those to be higher value women to me.
Yeah.
I'm not putting a value on the women themselves. They could be great women, whatever it is. And to others, value is just, it's a tailored idea, right? Like, value is different to everyone. I just thought that was funny that we disagreed. We got really deep into this, because that was a really hard thought to articulate, I guess.
Yeah.
Of, like, what he meant. I think it was because we had to figure out what he meant and then what I meant. And also, I might be getting the wrong idea of what he meant anyway. Mm-hmm. I just thought that was an interesting topic. Maybe we just shouldn't put status on women anyway. Maybe that's where we went wrong.
People in general shouldn't really have status. Yeah. Not just women.
I guess, here's the underlying thought. His example included a woman. Mm-hmm. I think people need to stop chasing status. Like, what is fucking status?
I think I want to hear, like, I want other people's opinion, because that's one thing about this is we keep forgetting that the people who watch us have opinions on this.
Yeah.
I want to see all, like, your guys' opinions. Like, let us know. Like, I want to have that conversation, because as much as it's your channel, I go through and I read the comments too. Like, tell us, like, are we wrong? Are we, like, not wrong, but, like, are we in the minority here? Are we thinking differently? I want to know, honestly, because, I mean, it's one of those things that we could have a conversation about with anybody, because I think everybody's opinion is going to be different, and we shouldn't try to sway somebody one way or another. No. Just, I want to know what people think.
Yeah. That's all it's about. Just conversation.
Yeah, exactly.
Elaborating on thoughts.
No, it's crazy, though.
I don't know, man. It's just weird. Just as I get older, man, just status stuff just gets me.
I think it's just, instead of looking for status, you have to look for that connective piece to you. The one piece that makes you better. Because we all have our flaws. We all have our things. We all have, the little tricks and tips. And you're always missing pieces, and I think the person that you should be with is the person who fills those for you, and you fill theirs.
Yeah.
And then that's just compatibility, and that's just the kind of person you should walk through life with.
I agree.
or you should be chasing. You know, if you're going to be chasing, which I don't think you should chase anybody. I don't think that's a really good. I don't think it's a good word.
Unless you find like the love of your life,
Yeah.
and you know she's the love of your life, you kind of have to. But besides that, like we said, the love of your life, I think, will come.
And I also think that if you're chasing it, you're not gonna be getting it. Like obviously you have to
Right.
you have to put in like
Some sort of effort.
and you have to
Things
let
just
them
don't happen.
Yeah, and you have to let them know that you're interested, and you
Yeah.
have to like, you know, go down the line with it and put like set the train on the tracks a little bit there, but it's not like you shouldn't have to throw away your life trying to get somebody else's approval or trying to get somebody else to, you know, give you attention.
I think double-edged swords are tough. They're
Yeah.
a tough thing. Like the human mind works really well when something's in. Ow, God, that just like I heard that hair leave your eyelash.
Yeah.
Popped out of your eyelashes. I always have a hard time articulating double-edged swords because it's hard not to be hypocritical, and it's just a complicated concept that two things can exist at the same time that almost contradict each other.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so weird. Like so many things in life, the human brain works so well when it's just like, this is what's right. This is what is the only option. And then the human brain has no fucking idea what to do. And it's like, these are two ideas that completely contradict yourself, but they both exist at the same time. It's like, don't chase a woman, but you have to sometimes chase a woman.
Yep.
Don't do anything and a woman will come to you. If you don't do anything, a woman won't have a... It's like, those both are all true, kind of.
Yeah.
In their own way. Like, they coexist. So articulating them is fucking tough, because it's just like, you get to a point where there's always something that contradicts your ideas.
100%, and that's just part of life, though. You know, it's making your own idea and setting that path. And then I feel like once you find the person who kind of shares similar ideas, not 100% your ideas, because we're all different, we're all unique, but once you find the person who shares your similar ideas, it's that contrast, that union, but you still have the contrast.
A balance, almost.
It's a balance in a sense, because I really don't believe in balance. I believe that like when one thing gets good, another thing's gonna kind of go down, and then once that starts getting good, something else has to go down. But you're there to level with each other. You know, I think that's a better word than balance, even though it's kind of the same word. It's just leveling. So
Yeah.
it's, you know, you might be tipping back and forth, but you understand each other. I think
You're on
that's
a
the word.
teeter-totter?
Yes,
Teeter-totter would be good.
it's a fun one. Yeah, you're teeter-totter.
You're teeter-totter.
Yeah, I love to teeter-totter.
Find the tea to your totter, you
Yeah,
know what I mean?
yeah.
Teeter. Find the teeter to your totter.
Totter that teeter.
Teeter-totter? Teeter-totter.
Teeter-totter.
How do you spell that?
Teeter. Totter? Totter? Or is it totter?
It's definitely totter.
Totter.
Teeter-totter.
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 Teeter-totter. That's how we start it.
Teeter-totter.
It sounds like we're doing warm-ups for the
Tee-
podcast. Teeter-totter. 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 That's a good tongue twister.
Yeah, I like it.
I mean, dude, there's so many more, but like, I feel like that was a good one. I feel like we gave
Yeah.
him a lot this time, and so
Yeah.
like, if we keep talking,
It's just gonna go down.
yeah.
Yeah.
Also, I want to make this one clear in this podcast episode. There's gonna be times we talk about things that are extremely opinion-based.
Yeah.
That's it. You don't need to argue. Like, if you disagree with us, that's because it's an opinion, and that is completely normal. And something like this is where we just sometimes share thoughts that we had. Thoughts you had are not typically meant to be shared with the world, and we choose to. And oh no, we can articulate them. I might even change my mind by the end of the thought.
And going back to vulnerability, like, you're okay to talk about the things that you think.
Yeah.
Like, that's okay. You're allowed to have an opinion. You're allowed to talk. You're allowed to, you know, vocalize it if you want to. Your opinion, my opinion of you shouldn't matter, and your opinion of me shouldn't matter. It's
Actually,
opinions.
doesn't matter.
Yeah,
It
it's
just
just
doesn't matter.
it's just opinion.
Yeah, and our opinions on the world don't hold true to you.
Yeah.
You can. I hope they might shine light or make you think in a different perspective. Hey, we need to find someone out there. If you're like one of the diehard podcast listeners, you need to. Your goal is to find the first episode where we don't use the word perspective. And if you do that, and you DM me and you let me know, I'll double check the podcast if you're right, and we'll
Do something for you.
do something cool. You know,
Yeah.
do something cool.
Sick. I need more coffee.
Yeah.
Yep.